Yeah, so we didn't get too far. Were just we were using the California hourly mean wage as dummy data. We spent a bit trying to decide how like the what percentile we wanted to look at, and we ended up choosing 10th percentile for now because that was like a doable number of jobs. We roughly resorted them,
Okay, Jean,
but
can you show the spreadsheet we've been gone through and then that will be better?
so this is all in our California hourly mean wage. So we took the actual data and then we removed because of how SOC works, they gave us a mean hourly wage for the umbrella. Maybe it's easier to bring up the SOC again. Yeah, so we got rid of these like big umbrella terms, and what we decided to do, we just sorted them into SOCs, but we only took it to the thousands. So we didn't come up with any customized resorting mechanism or like methods just yet.
I
And we
think that's
thought this
fine.
would
Yeah.
just, yeah. So we just did that. So that took us quite a bit. And
Yep.
then what we've just done so far was we got our 10th percentile lists. And then we just were doing this, what we did for the exploratory, but we're not doing the numbers just yet.
Okay.
That was a plan,
Cool.
but some of us did.
And
And
the oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, it seems like there are comments to go over.
You guys have questions and comments? Or you said,
I'm not sure
well, it seems
because
like you're going well.
mhm. But yeah, this is as far as we got since last Thursday.
Okay. That seems
Or
like a
Friday.
lot of progress. Um, and I would say with this total emission category, that that's well titled and that you probably will also want total emission per chemical because you've got, like in a given chemical, like this one at the bottom in food preparation, you've got methylene chloride in soap, and then you probably have methylene chloride in something else. That was a bad one. I was unlucky. Formaldehyde. So you have formaldehyde in dishwashing soap, you've got formaldehyde in general purpose cleaners, like etc. So you'd want for that group of food preparation and food and serving related workers to have both a total emissions of all chemicals, which may or may not be useful, and then total formaldehyde and total whatever. Like, and I guess you could total for each chemical or something. You'll have to think about it as it evolves, like how you want to do that. For
I was
each,
thinking we could do frequency, uh, right? And then maybe we could add that into how often the chemical comes up.
you could do frequency,
But
but I think the thing that you're trying to do here is to prioritize by total, like by emission and by worker numbers. So you don't want to do frequency, you just don't want to do too much. You could do frequency, but I think it's not sufficient. I think you want to definitely do emissions also. And it's for this, it's just another summary. It's not new data extraction because you're going to pull out so you could do both. And I think that probably as you think about making it into a data set, you'll probably just need to have you'll need to have multiple unique identifiers rather than, yeah, than just one unique identifier. You'll want to be able to have, job, product, chemical, I think will probably be your unique identifiers.
I
Yeah,
was also thinking maybe we need to like somehow color code or have a distinguisher between the top and secondary tiers, chemical
uh,
wise.
I think you
That's
only
maybe
need to pull out the top tier, right? Did we agree on that before that we were only going to do the top tier? So then
Yeah,
you
I
only need
thought
to abstract out the top tier.
that's my understanding.
And maybe she'll come back and tell us, but maybe she just means like to make your guys a template so it's easy to see which ones you don't need to. What did you mean by color code the second tier?
I thought we still wanted to at least have it overlook. But if we're like very set on just only looking at the top priorities, then We can just
I
look at
think
the top priorities.
I think that there's not any, like, you're doing a lot of work to make the database, but I don't think that any of it is you're not going to save time by scaling it. Like if you add 4 more chemicals, it's just going to be 4 more, you know, times that you have to go
Yeah.
back to the table and pull out the numbers and all that. So I don't think you save anything by adding them. So I think like let's just go with the top tier.
All right. Okay. I
Yeah.
think my thought process initially was they could say, oh, these certain products or people have like are exposed to a lot, but only a certain amount is top tier or something like that. But I don't think that's really too necessary.
Yeah, because you're not going to say, I mean, you could for sure if that were the research goal, but you're not going to end up prioritizing a second tier compound over a first tier compound, just given how we've defined the question. So I think that for that reason, you don't need to do the work of pulling out the second tier. Is there anything I can help with before you guys just, or do you guys just need to keep chugging?
Actually, I didn't actually have time to touch base with everyone
Oh, well then
before.
we can have just a working session and you can just take over the agenda. I can either go off camera or just mute myself and I could be available if you need me.
Yes, I think I want to touch base with everyone, see if there were any problems first.
Okay. Do you want me to stick around or do you want me to go off completely? I don't know if it matters.
Actually, please, I think we were supposed to have some questions for you.
Okay. I just don't want to like,
Right.
if people want to say something critical and they don't want to say it to me, then I would go, I'm happy to disappear, but I don't think that anyone's going to hurt my feelings.
Oh, committees. I had a question about the committees.
Oh, committees. Yeah, fun.
So, I was assuming that committees, well, we're gonna have some people make the final decisions on what product categories are assigned whenever like
Hmm.
something comes up. But like, would the committee also technically have to go over every single occupation that's been done and double check everyone's work?
What you could do is you could pick a few of the ones that you guys don't think require committee discussion, um, and more than one of you do it. And so make sure that you're all getting the same, you know, like shampooers, right? Like make sure that everybody picks the same things. Like pick the easy ones that you think. You can even make a list of the ones that you don't think need review and make sure everyone agrees that you don't need review. And then you could assign it so that each one has maybe 2 of you check it out. Like animal caretakers, somebody might have another thought about that one. Whereas um, shampooers, you might all agree is just these 2 things. Yeah, so like you could think about what that is. And the other thing you could think about is there might be very few jobs that don't use general purpose cleaners. So it might be that almost every job uses general purpose cleaners. And so you could just like put that aside, or I mean, you could just cut and paste also, but like just you could think about some of these really general ones, like under childcare workers, just the example here, I'm not picking on you, Richard. Like we just at the moment have hand sanitizer. And so like as you think to add what you might add to that, like I think they had arts and crafts, didn't they actually? I think they might have in that listing, but like you might add general purpose cleaners, right? Like you can imagine a childcare worker would use general purpose cleaners at some point. And so like, or you could debate it, like, do they use it enough? Or is that really only for like positions like cleaning? So like you could think about it, but I think, yeah, you don't have to do every single product, everybody, or every single, sorry, job for everybody, but you could do some spot checking. Like sometimes what people do is they'll say like we went every bit, every 10% or something like that of our sample was done by 3 people, you know, was done in triplicate. So you did it with 3 people so that, and check to make sure that we reasonably agreed. So like that's the inter-rater reliability, and you could just look at it for a subset. And you could either pick a random subset or you could pick a non-random subset. You know, we picked the ones that were the most difficult and that we deemed the most difficult, and people did that. The only thing I wouldn't do is pick the ones that you think everybody will definitely agree on, and then give that as your as your rating, because that's obviously a little bit loaded. But yeah, I would probably just pick a random, you know, pick every third one or something, and then have three people do each one and make sure that you have reasonable agreement. And you don't have to have 100% agreement, but like, you know, you want a nice high agreement.
Hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
I also had a question because I think we want to bring in like demographics of certain occupations in, and I'm thinking we're going to do that after we get however we rank or whatever metric we decide to use to like look at our data and identify the compounds. And I was thinking of bringing demographics in to delve further into those um, more exposed jobs.
Hmm.
Does that check out? Is that logical? Or would that introduce anything?
To bring in demographics to help you do, I think I missed a tiny
Just
bit.
be like, oh well, I say just call it chefs or janitors.
Right.
Like, oh, they're exposed to a high amount or whatever metric we decide to use, and like how have the most chemicals or the
Hmm.
most thing, blah blah. And then we I will. If, is it okay to go further into then those jobs specifically?
Sure.
All right, okay. Because I
Yeah.
know we want to.
I mean, with the intent of just understanding more who the people are that are exposed.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what you'll do next, right? Is you'll decide what you want to do with all, like, because you'll be able to pull out for these jobs how many people work in them, and you know what are the demographics for those people, and you'll decide either to do that for all of them that you're interested in, or you know a particular one, or whatever. Like you could, that will be your next sort of question.
Yes, okay. Yeah, I think our next big step would be figuring out the metrics of this. I
Okay.
think that's all my questions for now.
Okay, I will be here. Just let me know.
While we are doing a 10 percentile of the job search and the 75 jobs that I remember, and then if it is 15 percentile is like 156 or something, and then a lot of a lot of vulnerable job group like letter what is that? It's like a lot of vulnerable job is after 10 percentile. So what do you think? Should we do stick with the 10 percentile jobs, or if it is like a lot of job we are missing that we were gonna add, or do you remember Sanjin that we were talking about? We said we were gonna ask Dr. Naus about it.
Oh, I thought my understanding on that was if we have time, or after we do our dummy run or not dummy pilot run,
Right. So what
we'll
do you
add
guys
more.
decide after kind of while you are doing it? Do you have a sense that we're gonna stick with the 10 percentile or, extend it?
Depends on how efficiently we can get through this whole process, because we can add things on. That's because that's how I understood it, that we'll run through the 10th percentiles. So that's like 70 some jobs. I think the 15th added like 40-ish, 50-ish. And I thought we're just gonna add them if we have time after we do our run of our 10th percentile. I mean, it'll change up the results a little, but at least we're not scrambling for time.
Yeah, and I think that saying we selected the bottom 10% of wage earners as our population of interest. That's fine. Or the top bottom 10% of jobs. And then if you have time, you can either just say we added another 5%, make it so that we selected the bottom 15%. And or if you're in the process of doing this, you discover that the people who are most highly exposed all fall in the same job category, you might decide instead to fill out a job category, like if they're all a certain type of thing and you want to dig more into it, like you could just redefine it. But I think it's a good starting point. And like you said, you don't know how efficient you're going to be or what kind of barriers you're going to run into. And so you don't want to, better to start small and get it completed and then see what you can add to it if you want to and need to.
I guess I have a question. It kind of came up when we were going, I was going through the job classifications. That some of them have like food process, like um in my section, there's like a job classification that's called food processing workers, but contains like all other workers, which I found it was like kind of hard to like pinpoint the exact type of products they would be exposed to, since it contains like quite literally every other job that's available, which I felt like it's kind of hard to like really put into like sense, I guess.
I think you're kind of you mean like how anything like it's a job that has others after the end of it. It's like comprehensive of everything that doesn't fall into a big category, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of loses, I don't know how to put this, not its value, but it becomes very muddled of that. And you like maybe you're asking like, is there a valid point to doing the others, right?
I just kind of feel like it's like hard to like really classify what type of products they'll be like mainly exposed to without kind of like copying exactly from like a previous job that in the same type of like sense. Because like in my thing, I covered a lot of the food processing ones, and I feel like food processing workers for all other have the exact same chemicals that they would be exposed to as a previous one, which I feel like either I think I may be like underrepresenting like how much these jobs would be exposed to since they contain every other job, or like if I add all these other extra things that I think all these other jobs are susceptible to, that it might like kind of skew how much they're like being affected by, since technically they are not significant enough to get its own category, which kind of places me in like a weird position of like how much should be written down.
No, yeah, I kind of see what you mean. I don't really know. Kind of was thinking we might want to resort on top of all this because there are some job titles that I feel like we can put into the same category per se. Because here, like what I did was these were the jobs I did mainly cooks and food preparation, but I'm like looking at these and well, I guess they fall under the same 9,000, so it's not a problem. Actually, I think one of the first things we want to do now that most of our all 10 percentile things are in is group them again. And sorry, my brain is so fried today. I'm like super tired. Okay, maybe like the first thing we should do is get the names of these then. And maybe we can look into resorting them on. Okay. Does anyone like have kind of like to add on to like Joel's? Did we run into any problems while doing this? Any confusions? Any jobs you want to take a second look at?
This isn't necessarily a problem, but some of the jobs in my category, I kind of just looked at their job descriptions and I was like, I don't really think they're using products particularly. So I was like, what do we do with kind of like blank jobs or like jobs that have maybe like one possible like product to use?
Mhm. I don't know how many of those are there, like especially once we group them up.
Also, yeah, and I do agree that kind of regrouping some of them would be a good idea because like a third of my jobs were like machine operating workers, but for different textile jobs. So I was like, they're probably basically using the same products. It's like one is like textile like knitting, and then one is like textile bleaching. They're all machine operators. So I was like, they probably use the same things.
Hmm. I have a feeling there's a reason that the other paper we read about Canadian that used the Canadian job matrix and all that. I have a feeling that there's a reason why they group like chemicals and not jobs. And I feel like one thing we could also do is we could do all this and look at the exposures, like the TPDs.
Can, Jin, can we show Dr. Nose and what he think the grouping in terms of grouping? Because we were talking about several things about grouping.
I think we already mentioned that we're just following the SOC codes from the BLS, the doctor not, and she was okay with that.
Yeah, but grouping wise, that's what just Howland said.
Like regrouping on top of the SOC codes, but like off of what we're going right now.
So we are all resolved. We don't need to talk to or ask Dr. Nuss. We're gonna just go.
I didn't want to ask her like all our problems, and I was hoping like maybe you could talk some things out and come to a bit of a more of a consensus, and then ask for her opinions on things.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. But that was one of my question too. So that's one of the things.
I guess the next thing is asking if like, did everyone else also have those kind of jobs? Because I personally also did have jobs I felt like could be just regrouped into. Or okay, actually, okay, the first thing we're going to do today, unless there are any other more concerns that arose while we were doing this, I wanna know about them so that maybe you could look into it. So no one had problems with any job titles and all that categories. Okay, I'll take that as then we're good on this. And all right, did anyone notice while doing the S4s that it has both consumer exposures plus, because S4 is like all the emissions, all the volatile compounds emissions, but it also has consumer products on it, like witch hazel. That's obviously not a workplace exposure, but it's there nonetheless. So I was thinking maybe we can just get rid of anything that's not workplace exposure or that was defined workplace exposure slash general population off of the list or our legend, or do you think there's merit in keeping them just in case? I don't know. Did anyone actually use consumer products as workplace exposure? Because it is on the S4 list.
Right, but I feel like personal care workers sometimes uses like consumer products, like service workers. I need like write it out, yeah.
Yeah, I think also for like some like cleaning or like operating jobs, I have put just like general cleaning products here and there.
I think the general cleaning. Okay, wait a minute. Let me pull this up.
I'm not really sure which ones are. I don't really remember.
I think the ones on top are starting from shaving gels down to what else? Actually, okay, S3 has all the workplace with cleaner to others. I'm assuming 2 has. So these are the exposures for a workplace. I don't know. I guess we'll just keep it and not make a distinguishing. Cause there's like, yeah, cause cleaners were part of worker. I don't know. I guess maybe we can just keep them then if we think we're gonna end up using them. And we'll just mention that certain occupations will use them even if they're considered consumer products, which were just defined that way for their research Dr. Schwarzman did. All right, so we'll just keep it the way it is, and then we'll just use them if they come up, and if not, well, they're just part of the list. Right, so well, earlier we mentioned we want to get chemicals per tons per day per chemical. I think what we'll do eventually, I don't know, today during meeting or whenever. So we currently have total emissions data, tons per day per year of this chemical. I don't know if you guys remember. Hopefully you do, but do you guys remember how she explained the heat map on S4?
Alright, which heat that?
Uh,
Just share really quickly. I just need a
yeah,
visual
actually, I got I
reference.
was sharing real quick. So how to read this? What the different margins mean? Do we all feel okay with that? Because we got the heat map, the emissions. So the colors tell us total tons per day per year. All right, I think I asked her more in detail and right. Okay, I think I asked her and it wasn't on the slides. But from what I can tell from my notes, and we'll have Dr. Schwarzman come in again this Wednesday, so we could ask for if we're reading this right again. But so there are two numbers, right? I mean, two more margins with numbers top and right. So the right tells us the total emissions for that product category, and the top tells us the total emissions per chemical. I'm having a hard time reading this myself. Does anyone want to come up and say you kind of know how to read these numbers? Or I might call an SOS for doctors now too. I'm gonna kind of look at it again with us.
I'm not entirely sure on this either.
Right, anyone else? I'll take the silence as a no.
All right, what is
Uh,
this? This is four.
S4.
Okay, S4. And she didn't, this isn't the one she described in her talk.
No, she briefly went over it, but I ended up asking a bunch of questions at the end about it. But my brain does not want to work today.
Well, that's very understandable. I just am making sure it's not already in her.
I think she mentioned something about bottom left. The closer we are to the bottom left, the more exposed, like the more emissions it has.
Sorry, just getting the description of the of 4. Okay, estimated 2020 emissions of Prop 65 listed chemicals. And is yellow the lowest use then? What does it mean if it's yellow?
I think she said yellow was the highest.
Yellow is the, oh, right, that makes sense. Sorry, I was reading this the wrong way. Yellow is the highest use. And so I think what this is that, so for that very bottom line with paint removers and strippers, for example, right. So it's each box is each color-coded box is the amount used in that particular product category. Yeah, in the particular product category, and so like for paint removers or strippers, for methylene chloride, like you said, it's yellow, so that's the highest. I don't know what it means, but so then I believe that just over at the right, the 3.5 is just the total in, I don't know if it's in all the chemicals or just the high priority, but it's a summation. And then at the top, that is the summation also, but across the column. And so you really don't need to do anything with those for what you are doing, because you're just looking at paint removers or strippers for a particular job and chemical. So you don't need the total amount of chemical. Like, so in the case of paint removers or strippers, it'd be methylene chloride plus N-methyl 2 pyrrolidone plus oh, this is the one I always have trouble with, diethanolamine. So you'd get, say it was the sum of those three is the total amount of top of tier 1 chemical in paint remover strippers. You're not using that information, so you don't need to worry about the margins to the right of figure 4 or the top number on figure 4. You're just extracting the middle parts.
So we're only looking at tons per day per year for this
Tons per day,
chemical.
per year, per chemical, per product category. Yeah, you're not
All
looking
right.
at any of the sums across. You might sum across something, but they're not, that's not happening in this table slash graph. So you're doing something different. Like you're saying for a job that uses paint strippers, multi-purpose solvents, and automotive brake cleaners, whatever that amazing job would be, there is X amount of methylene chloride. So you are doing a summation, but it's not one that she's got on here because she just has totals. She's got total amount used
Mhm.
in all of them, and then total amount of chemical used in each of them. And you're not doing either of that.
All right. So yes, the top right margins are not relevant to us.
Correct.
All right. Okay. It makes sense now.
Good. Yeah, it's a little confusing to like look at it and be like, whoa. And I'm surprised that they don't have any access descriptions anywhere, basically. So I'm not sure how that fell through the usually. Oh no, I'm sorry. It does. Down at the end, I was only looking at the beginning where it says that there's a figure S4, but if you go down in supporting information number 1 in the PDF, if you scroll all the way down, they do have a description. Estimated 2020 emissions of Prop 65 listed chemicals in tons per day. Top margin shows total emissions across all IECs by chemical, and the right margin shows total emissions of Prop 65 listed chemicals by IEC. Shading indicates emissions for each chemical IC combination, which is what you want.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
because I read this paragraph and I still was a little confused.
that's fine. There's a lot of IEC here means product category.
Okay.
So you can sort of think that way. But yeah,
Do you think it would be rude for me to ask Dr. Schwarzman if she has like numbers for her S4?
no, you could ask her.
All right. Okay. 'Cause I wasn't sure if it would be rude to ask for specifics.
Yeah, no, you can
Um,
ask her. There's probably, actually, we should check. There's no statement that all the data are available somewhere. Sometimes that is. Let's see what they say. References, supporting information, no information, acknowledgement. They don't say anything that it's all data is available by request or something. Often you have to say that. I mean, often you have to allow for that. So you could ask her. It doesn't look like it's published anywhere. And the only thing I would say about this is not to set your site super high because
well,
it was they'd finished all the work on it by the time they submitted it the first time. So that was October 2022. So just if she says yes or no, like it could be the data aren't quick at hand. Or if it could also be inside of an R program and that they never wrote it out into a table, that's possible too. So just she might have it, she might not. So I wouldn't, because this definitely looks like an R table, doesn't it?
yes, the
Yeah,
colors.
the colors, exactly. So I would just, except for the pink looks like it might be an add-on. But I would, so that's all I'm saying is like temper your,
All right.
yeah,
I'll
she might,
hold
she
that.
might.
Okay. Well, it's okay. Just a bit more work for us because some of the shades on this
Yeah.
vary, and it's come to opinions, and I'm not sure if everyone or how colorblindness works into this, or does the different monitors
I'm sure
like.
different monitors are hopefully there's not a lot of different color blindness, but yeah, I mean, I think different monitors, and I think they may have even a more accessible version. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask for sure.
Mhm.
And I
I
agree,
would
like,
definitely
because there's obviously this yellow color that isn't on the scale, so we don't know what the max is, right? Which is a little bit odd, actually. But yeah, I think definitely it's worth asking, especially because it's hard to extend what she's done without that information.
But basically, bottom line, yeah, we can keep doing the mission numbers as we've been doing. But I personally wanted to hold off on it so I wasn't having you guys go on a wild goose chase trying to put all these numbers in and comes out like, oh, we wasted hours trying to like look at the shades and coordinate them. I think I'm just gonna have us do it anyways. I know some of us already did them. Am I sharing my screen? We're gonna have the numbers in. Um, so we want that's next. Since we're only doing top tier compounds, this is my mistake last week. We only need to look at left of this pink line when we're doing this. Everyone understands that. We're good with that. No one's going to. Everyone just give me a verbal yes, because this is like this will say
Wait, so do we want to delete the right side compounds in the spreadsheet or just leave it
probably,
as a?
yeah. I mean, no,
Oh,
let's
okay.
get. I want to say just get rid of them all, so it's
Okay.
not. Yeah, sorry. I know a lot of us had a lot of these second tier compounds. But like, yes, everyone left of the pink line. I can't see cameras. Wait. So yeah. So I also want to touch up while we're mentioning this on the legend. I'm not gonna, I don't know, because we're pretty much done for now. So I don't think the legend now becomes absolutely crucial for us to have. But I think I said this earlier, but if anyone copy pasted chemicals from our legends tab, do double check them because I saw quite a bit of unfinished ones. And also, this has not been updated to only contain top tier chemicals. So there's that. All right. So since S4 is on emission values, we know what to put in for that. I think okay. For now, can we take like 3 minutes? It's not gonna take too long. Can we go look at SOC and put in our actual group titles instead of having numbers for our groups? And then off of that, I kind of want to have everyone discuss. We'll go by person here. We'll talk about if we feel like we want to group certain things together that feel repetitive or redundant. Or I also want to think of the idea, maybe we don't, like we can do these by groups like that, but also we could do what the other paper did and look at chemicals specifically. Actually, no, we'll just take a minute into the groups and I'll think about the other thing. Sounds good? 3 minutes. Yes, okay, I'll take the silence as a yes. All right, I'll be back too then. I'm gonna finish up my.
Wait, I have a question. Some of my jobs kind of like grouped together that aren't on like the third number. For like, for example, like my thing has like 51-2, 51-4, and like 51-9. Should I just like separate them on different rows or
Could you share your screen?
for this one? I have like these as like different starting numbers for this
Oh,
bit. But like if I add rows, I feel like I might mess up these things unless it wouldn't matter.
oh, why did we do them like that? Sophia, like, since you did, you helped out a lot making these. Do you remember anything about, are these supposed to be in different groups or are we,
I mean, like, I like initially made the groups according to the full number, and like I just like only grouped certain ones that had like a lot of like the first digit, and like I just still like left the others with like one or two in like the full number group.
Wait, sorry, also, do you want to add the numbers as well or just the group name?
I prefer to keep the numbers just to keep track of everything, but you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
We can, yeah, because they're within the job titles. Uh, I don't know, Joel. I'll have to think about.
I think I could do it just like my brother, just like do the 39 dash. Wait, hold on. No, never mind. But like I think I could just like list down like 51-2, then just like 51-4 and 51-9 to like not mess up this table.
So it's 2, 4, and 9. 2
Yeah.
is assemblers and fabricators. 4 is metal workers and plastic workers, and 9 is, let's see, other production occupations. Oh my goodness. we can just pours, coal winders, tapers, and finish. Are these very different? I don't really know about these job titles.
Not too much. I feel like these two were like pretty closely related. Well, these three were like related to each other, kind of.
Okay. 0.2 and 0.4. 2,000, 1,000. Metal workers and plastic workers and assemblers. I feel like we'll just group 2 and 4 together, I guess, for now. Or actually, what does your spreadsheet say? Oh, what?
They are kind of different.
All right, we won't be rash here. We'll keep them separate. So how many more rows do you need?
I just
51.
need two more, one for the
All right.
cores and another one for the 51-9.
1, 2. There we go. I also saw in like the TPD document that you have like asterisks uses other products you're unsure on how to categorize.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like it's technically a lubricant, but like I don't think it's like lubricant under the same definition as like, oh, you're trying to get these pieces to like move easier. It's kind of like a protective coating most of the time, which I don't know where in the
Ah,
legend it would be.
so it's like a lubricant.
Uh, kind of. It's like a protective coating for like the metal casts or like a protective coating to cover wires.
All right, this will be for the committee. We can deal with this later. Speaking of which, we also need to figure out who or like, committee is just like a fancy term, but does anyone feel very interested in looking into these random job titles and want to learn a bit more about them? Because I want us to, before we really start using whatever metrics we come up with, I want to double check our work first. And I was hoping for volunteers who might be more interested in this. Or
I mean,
wait,
I
am I
can do some. I can help out.
all right? And is anyone actually kind of confused? Am I not explaining myself clearly? Which is totally fine given my current state of my brain. So if you're in a committee, what we would do is just kind of look over each, not every job, but like some random set of jobs or subset of the jobs and be like, oh, okay, this is what the job does. And just, we're gonna make our own list, redo it basically, and compare for a consensus.
No, could you repeat that last sentence one more time? I was listening before, I didn't catch the last sentence.
About the committee or am I, is everyone
Yeah.
so busy?
No, about the committee.
All right, no, so basically, we're going to choose a subset of the jobs we looked at,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna be like, oh, let's see if we agree on the product categories that's been assigned, and we're gonna have like I want to say around 3, at least 3. More is welcome to take a look at a subset of the jobs and reassign the categories to see if they match with each other. Sorry, what were you saying?
I just said okay.
Okay. Yeah, so any volunteers, I
Yeah, I
would,
could help.
all right. Then I'll probably reach out to you and Ryan
Yeah.
about doing committee related things.
Yeah, I can
So,
probably help out as well if
all
you guys want.
right. Sounds great. So it's Ryan, Richard, and are we done with the groups? Because if we're done, I want to talk about possibly regrouping redundancies. But first, like, did people feel or not feel a need to like, did they notice the redundancies in their day? I know some of us did, but are like, did others not?
For my group, I didn't really see anything redundant except for like yeah,
Oh yeah, you're pretty.
mine was pretty diverse. So
Mhm.
Like, to what extent do you mean like the redundancy?
And I guess for us, I want to say redundancy also includes personally for me, I did like but like food preparation work, like short order, all other restaurant, If they basically
Right.
all use similar product categories, it's not identical.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. I think mine also had some overlap into yours as well with
Yeah, it's
the
like a
waiters, food service, and such. I think for me, I also had um like the physical therapy and occupational therapy aids that are pretty similar to each other.
mm,
Like the entire healthcare aid section.
yeah. And are they? But they do fall under. Right. I'll need to think about that. All right. Then I think for those of us that did have redundant jobs, do we have any like ideas on how to group these? For me, I was thinking I can just group mine into cooks and separate them possibly between like, because mine has cooks and food preparation workers for 35-2000. But also has other preparation and serving related workers. And I was thinking for mine, I could split it between cooks, food preparation workers, and serving related, like those into those three. So anyone have like that and
For me too, like similarly, some of my job categories, all the machine workers are classified into like 6,000 and like no 60. Like if you look at all the ones kind of at the end, I think they're grouped by like the tens are all like 60 in the 60s. So I think that could be an option. Like they're all some sort of like machine operator, tender, whatever.
all right. Yeah, I feel like we could definitely just group this all into machine operators or something like that. Have drivers, transportation. All right, I'll just make note of those. I'll take a look at this later. And I don't want to get into regrouping right now then. I'm going to make a few adjustments to this. I think what we want done, if possible, is it might be a little too much to ask for all of us to fill in the numbers by tomorrow, the next time we meet. I think I also just want us to include a group number or group name. So that makes sense, right? We can just go over that. And as we're putting the numbers in, please, I'm sorry to make you guys do this, but get rid of any secondary tier compounds you might have included. This is more of a depends on how what we say, but how do we feel about the legend? Do we want to keep it? Do we want to like re-update it accordingly? Or do we just want to scrap this?
I feel like for the legend, we might, or if we plan to do more than 10% later on, it would be really useful.
Yeah, I'd say
Right?
keep it as well and just get
But
rid
I
of
don't, yeah, but I don't know
secondary.
how, to what extent we're gonna use or do
Yeah.
more.
So this is much like I see it as an investment, but it's an investment some of us might be willing and not some might not see the point in it. But it seems like we're of the ones who are just speaking out, let's just update the legend as we go. And I'm trying to think if we want to include the numbers here as well in the legend. What do you guys think? Do you think that might clear things up too much or?
I think if we have the time to do the busy work, then yeah, it would be nice. I don't think it's essential.
All right, so I think then what we can say, because we'll just keep the chemicals and we won't worry about the numbers in the legend. So then there's that. But while we're updating the legend and everything, no one copy paste from this thing until like we're given the green light and I'm like, okay, this is actually usable now. So that just keep that in mind. I think by tomorrow, possible get all the total emissions in and also relook at your secondary chemicals if possible. And then we'll go from there. And then I think our next step would be, well, the committee will have to meet and deal with some of that. But our next step will be looking at figuring out how we're going to like look at this emissions data. So there's many ways to slice into this. We can look at total emissions flat too. We can also look at the chemicals that are most emissions or used per group. So just keep, I guess, ruminate on it a little. Think on like how we want to look at our data when we get all our emissions in. And I think I would want to do that tomorrow. I think for now we can just re-update our TPD tab. And I think that's that for now.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. So tomorrow, let's do the committee member, start with 7, and then whole group member, non-committee member will show up at 8 o'clock.
I should
How
be
does-
around during that time. Maybe let me know if you've got questions. Daisy, you can just text me and let me know sometime tomorrow if
Yeah,
that's
Or
fine.
we could email you instead if that's better.
text.
Okay, we'll just go with
Yeah, emailing my old address is yeah.
Yes, text
Okay.
is better. Yeah, I'll
It's still
send it
my
to you.
active address, but I don't check it very often. So yeah, if you
Right.
you do email me, just tell Daisy and she can text me
Okay.
that you emailed me.
We
Yeah.
are very, yeah, it's okay. All right, so
Yeah.
let's do that. So today's let's just you know, take off and you guys have a rest.
All right, everyone, for the general thingy, group number, just add that in. Double check your chemicals, put your mission things in. Update the legend if you see fit. I might honestly, I'll check the legend later. So that's that. Everyone's good with that, and possibly think of some metrics of how we could look into our data. And yeah, that's it. If everyone's cool with that, I think we're done today.
Okay, no more questions?
Wait, I just have one. Do you know where we could find like the emissions data since like I wasn't here
Oh, yeah, I can show
earlier?
you real quick. You have access to our drive, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he does.
So if you go to our Doctrine 079 paper, July 9th paper, it's supporting document 4. I highly just suggest you download this. You can like print it as PDF or whatever. But yeah, this is where it's all at, and left to the pink line. That's all we care about. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Any
Okay.
other last questions?
Wait, sorry, for the committee thing, what time do I have to wake up then?
7,
7.
same as always.
Exactly same time.
Okay.